Hello and welcome to another update video about Ethereum. So Ethereum again remains in no man's land here at the moment. We had a trade setup here yesterday, worked out so far, suggested yesterday in the video that you might want to consider to take profits, or if it was an intraday trade, or you might want to move up your stop loss because this could still come down. It's only so far, I would say rather corrective what happened here on the way up as well. Especially this sort of chop that we had after during the Powell speech yesterday, when he participated in that discussion. In the channel, anything is possible really right now. You need to understand that, also to understand the possible risk when you enter a trade, especially here in the middle of the range. Someone asked me, I always try to explain that as well to new traders or people who try to understand how to trade Elliott Waves. And by the way, we do have a lot of educational material on the website, morecryptoonline.com, in the channel membership. Here we've got specific trading live streams that talk about strategies, how you can trade this stuff. And we've got the foundational trading course for anybody who wants to learn more. Not sure if you get all the information that you need from the videos, and that's when you get risk of, try to do something, make the wrong decision because you don't know how to ideally trade this. Now, don't get me wrong, there are thousands of different trading strategies, setups, but this is obviously about Elliott Waves here. And what you ideally do is you ideally trade the pullbacks. So you trade the pivot points, the decision points, like this one was a pivot point, decision point that divides a bullish case here, short-term bullish setup, and a breakdown in wave 4. If you are aware of these invalidation points, then you can trade it, because either this setup is holding and you can trade the wave 3 to the upside with a decent likelihood, at least a decent reward to risk ratio, and even if the trade doesn't work out in the end, so this was, for example, a long trade setup. Even if the trade doesn't work out, now you have the possibility, if you entered in this pullback area, that you move up your stop loss. Okay, so you reduce the risk. Or what you can do when you see that the chart is failing to create an impulse, then you can start to scale out to limit your risk. If it breaks below the support area, you don't need to get frustrated, because this often opens the door to a setup into the other direction. For example, in this case, it would then be a breakout trade into the other direction, a short trade, breakout trade. Now, I don't tend to like breakout trades too much because you are far away from key support, because previous resistance is support. But either way, this is sort of another opportunity that comes up then. And don't trade the count, trade the pivots, because nobody can guarantee that when the price has reacted to this fib support area here, that it's going to get the third wave. There is, in any moment, there is theoretically an infinite amount of different possibilities. So all you can do is control your risk, control your entries, and then let's call it hope that the count works out. But that's what I mean, hope doesn't help you. You can have an assumption about a count, you can identify a setup, but don't trade the count, trade the setup. You enter the trade where you see the risk is low. You don't enter a trade when you think something's going to happen, because the question was, if you say we broke out, which was this level, we had then the wedge, we had a breakout level as well above the wave 4 high, which led the price to, which led to an acceleration of the price. But the question was, if you think that we broke out and the price should now move up in the third wave, why can I not enter? Well, you can enter, but the problem is when you enter and you aren't trading the pivot points, you're entering in no man's land here in the middle of a move. And in the middle of a move, you can get a pullback at any time. So like here, what would have happened had you entered here? You get the pullback. What do you do now? Right, you're immediately at a loss. And where do you put your stop loss? Where do you do it? I mean, it's far away, isn't it? You would set it probably below the last swing low here, and that's like more than 4% away probably. And that's the problem. It's just not defined. And you can trade anything, of course, there's nothing stopping you go to the 5-minute chart, trade the 5-minute chart. If you see a pullback here, you can do that, but it's just less reliable. So ideally trade the pivot points, trade the setups, because, this is not talking about, I'm reading the stars and I know that it's going to go up in a third wave. This is right. We've got a decent setup. This could be a 1-2 setup. We've got a fib support area to which the price is most likely going to react to. I can set a couple of limit orders in here, hope that 1 or 2 get triggered. As soon as they trigger and I see the price move into the favored direction, I can move up the stop loss, reduce my risk, and then just sit it out. If it comes down and I have break even, that's fine. Normally I wouldn't chase the trade and try to re-enter because the trade setup is then normally gone. But you can re-enter, that's up to you. Or you take some partial profits. I mean, the move up yesterday was not too bad. Had you watched the chart, and maybe even if you entered here at the top, I mean, it was like a 3.5 to 4% intraday profit, which is not too bad. Okay, but yeah, that's why you don't. Of course, there is always a bearish and a bullish option because there are, in theory, an infinite amount of possibilities that the chart could take in every second. So. Of course, there is more than just one scenario, and that's why it's so important to control risk. Yeah, be much more focused on what you can risk in every trade than what you can make. Because if you enter here, what are you going to risk? You can risk quite a lot because the price can drop quite a bit back to support actually. What can you make? Well, you are just below resistance, yeah. So you've got the previous wave 1 high, that is resistance. You're just below the channel resistance, so of course the price can easily react to it. So I always encourage also, especially in the member live streams, the audio lessons that we offer in the membership and so on, that control what you risk and focus on what you risk, control that, limit that, and then just take profits along the way. And you might not get rich quick, but only a few people do anyway. Most people blow up their accounts because they try to get rich quick, which often doesn't work because they try to focus on, I can make 100x with this coin, and then it all goes up, it blows down again, as it often does, and they blow up their account because then they get over leveraged and blah blah blah. So yeah, this is the key. Okay, very important. Now I always try to bring in a little bit of this, sort of information when prices are slow, and at the moment it is slow. At the moment, surely, this could still carry on in a third wave, but it's lacking a little bit of impulsive price action. So, as I said yesterday to you, this could easily also be, as it is the case for Bitcoin, a wave 1 down, or even a wave in a different count. You have 5-wave move down, a possible 3-wave move up, and we have just run into resistance. So from here we could start a sell-off into this area. That's also possible. But it's not about that. It's not about predicting what's definitely going to happen. It's about identifying the setups. If the setup works out, reduce your risk and so on, Trying to predict movements is often for sets up people for failure because it doesn't work anyway. There are some channels which try to guarantee to you a certain move will happen in a certain period of time. It often doesn't work, and then when the move happened, they tell you, oh yeah, I predicted this. And if it didn't work, they delete the videos. But I would not make such calls because you can't. Yeah, you can't. You can only confuse people and set them up for failure by trying to pretend there is something like certainty in these markets, which of course there isn't. Yeah, which of course there isn't. So yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of people have that wrong understanding about technical analysis, that someone tries to predict the future. I know, and there is a predictive element in Elliott Waves because sometimes it can really work like magic, especially when you are in an impulse, because in an impulse you can very accurately forecast price moves, especially with fibs and Elliott Waves. But in a correction, which is a period of, you could say, instability, yeah, it doesn't look stable, it's just up and down the price, there's a lot of stuff at the same time. The market hasn't made up its mind yet. So if the market hasn't made up its mind yet, how can you forecast the price? It doesn't really work. You need to wait for those pivots and breakouts to work out. And that's what we're doing. Yeah, that's what we're doing. And if the setup doesn't work, we just move to the next one. So it's no hard feelings. Okay. Yeah, but and if the in such a period here, it's extremely difficult. So in an impulse, it can work really well, and that's what we try to look out for. Yeah, trading impulses, trading corrections is not always the best idea. I know a lot of people want to trade every little wave, but be aware And don't complain when we are in a corrective structure, which we are. This is still a channel that you face headwinds, and if a setup doesn't work out. So you need to know that. And that's why I try to always educate and provide that information as well. Okay, but that's my update about Ethereum. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.